Good day, gentlemen. I got with my girl almost 7 years ago, and we are in a thriving relationship. But at the start of our relationship, and even years into it, I was doubting whether I should be in any relationship because I had massive goals for myself, for my business, my health, my fitness, all these things. And I was simply afraid that a relationship might hold me back from achieving all of those things. But now, after almost 7 years with my girl, I completely disagree with what everyone tells you these days about relationships and goals. Because everyone tells you relationships will hold you back, build yourself first, then get a girlfriend, and only if you build yourself first do you have access to what these immature guys on the internet call high value women. Now, here's my honest experience. Without my relationship, I wouldn't even be close to the man I am today. There's no way. And also, I wouldn't have achieved half of the stuff that the world calls success without my relationship. And also, if I had built myself first, right? If I had built my money first, my body, all these things first, all the things that the world sees as success. If I had done those things first and then gotten into a relationship, how would I know that she loves me and not for what I have? But how did I not lose my drive? How did I not become complacent because of all the love and the sex and the comfort that that relationship gave me? How did my relationship not just not hold me back, but actually supercharge my drive and me achieving my goals? Those are the questions I want to answer for you in this video in 5 brutally honest lessons, so that by the end of this video, you can actually go and not just balance success and relationship, but actually supercharge them with each other. Because maybe you've seen these videos on social media where a guy drives like a fancy car or whatever, and the caption just says, "When you gained success, but you lost her on the way." We as men know that that is just deeply, intrinsically sad. Because we know deep down that happiness and success is only really real when it's shared with someone meaningful. Let's dive right into lesson number 1. Because look, I sure as hell wouldn't be in the position that I am in today if I hadn't deeply understood this. And instead, I would still resent my girl for holding me back, and I would have never achieved what I actually have achieved. Because let's be honest, you have this deep fear that most men have of never reaching your potential, whatever that means for you, right? And not only do you have that fear, you have that fear coupled with that fear of loving a girl too much, becoming complacent because of that, giving up on your goals, because everyone told you that relationships will hold you back, right? Now, here's the thing. What these people who tell you this, who told me this, that relationships will hold you back, what they don't understand is that they have never built the skill set necessary to overcome their girl's challenges. And that's why their girl holds them back. What do I mean by that? Let me explain that. But before that, let me ask you a question. Why would your girl want to hold you back from achieving your highest goals? Why would she do that? If she loves you, why would she want to do that? Well, the truth is she doesn't. She doesn't want to hold you back. But then why does she ask for your time when you want to work? Why does she tell you to work less when you are just driven to work? Why does she tell you to go to the gym less and spend more time with her? Right? All these things. Why does she do that? Well, when one of my clients named Jeff, a serial entrepreneur and software developer, came to me, he asked those exact questions. And the answer to all of those questions is because the feminine part in women challenges men on their goals and on their path. What do I mean by that? Well, the red pill guys call this shit tests, right? But it's not a test that you can fail. It is a challenge that she gives to you for you to overcome that challenge and for you to become a better man because of it. Because here's the thing, man. The world will challenge you. Or if you, on any meaningful pursuit, I don't care what you try to do, but on any meaningful pursuit, meaningful meaning meaningful to you, right? Not meaningful to anyone else. The world will challenge you. You will face obstacles. And if your woman challenges you and tries to get you off your path, and you overcome those challenges, that prepares you for the challenges of the world. Look, you're more masculine people in your life, more masculine friends. They probably support you through encouragement, through active support, through advice, all those things, right? That's not how the feminine works, though. The feminine supports you through trying to get you off your path. That sounds nuts, right? It sounds crazy. But here's the thing. This works because when she's trying to get you off your path and you don't get off your path, not only does she trust you more because she can see that you have integrity and that you stick to your goals no matter what other people say, but also by you overcoming those challenges of her, by you sticking with your path, sticking with yourself, you are much more ready to do that when the world makes it difficult for you to stay on your path. Now, your woman rarely does this consciously. Her feminine side simply does this to try to get you off your path and then see that she cannot, which reinforces her trust in your integrity. And by the way, I hope you're taking notes, because if you're not taking notes, you're wasting both of our time here, man. Anyway, is it difficult to overcome those challenges of your woman? Yes, that's the fucking point. It has to be difficult, because without overcoming difficult challenges, you will never achieve anything worthwhile in this world. That's the fucking truth. The feminine part of your woman is, in a way, training you to overcome the challenges of the world. Because if you can't even say no to your woman who loves you, then how will you say no to distractions the world will give you when you're trying to achieve a certain goal? If your woman asks you to spend time with you, but you're working and you want to work and you don't want to spend time with her right now, and you would kind of resent her if you do spend time with her because you wouldn't get your work done, if you can't even say no in those moments to a person who loves you, how will you do that in any other area of life? To round this off, realize that the feminine is like an ocean. It's beautiful, it's vast, it's inspiring, it's serene, but it's also uncontrollable, chaotic, and destructive, as is the ocean. And once you understand how to handle those sides in your woman, you automatically understand how to handle those sides of the world. For example, for my client Jeff, who I mentioned earlier, he already knew that in order to achieve worthwhile goals, he has to go through difficult situations. He has to deal with uncontrollable circumstances, with chaos. And once he understood that his girlfriend can actually help him in developing this ability, or not even can help him, but automatically helps him if he just flips his mindset and approaches her challenges differently, not only did he build a deeper and more thriving relationship, but also he achieved his goals a lot quicker. Now, for lesson number 2, this might sound very simple, but I promise you we'll go deep here. Because there are moments where your woman simply needs the human in you, and where your goals don't fucking matter. Where your woman has a genuine need for your help. It's not a challenge, it's a genuine need. But now, don't let your small self convince you that this is always the case 24/7. Because your small self is this part of you that is kind of stuck in lower states of consciousness, like fear, like guilt, like shame. And that part of you is very easily convinced that your woman always needs you. Because let's face it, as men, we like to feel needed. It makes us feel loved to feel needed, right? But do you really think that poorly of your woman? Do you really think that she can't handle life by herself? Do you really kind of see her as a child who's helpless? Like, do you really think, really, please ask yourself this, do you really think that poorly of her? Because what I'm not saying is to never help your woman. The exact opposite, actually. Be a guide for her. Be helpful to her. Guide her through life. Be that rock that she can hold on to in difficult situations. But balance that with not constantly putting your goals and your dreams on the back burner. Because that's what I did. I kind of thought of my girl as someone who is helpless in a way, which sounds so ridiculous when I look back at it. But I know that so many guys think in this exact way, because it's easy to think in that way, because then you want to feel needed all the time, and you do feel needed all the time. Great, fantastic, right? You feel great about yourself. But what actually happens is you start resenting your girl more and more, because now she's holding you back. Of course, she's not. You're actually holding yourself back, right? Because you're not handling this situation in the right way. You don't realize that she's challenging you instead of that it's an actual need. And man, at the end of the day, the moment I realized that my girl is a capable, smart, intelligent, kind of very intuitive person living in a first world country. Like she's an actual adult. She can handle her life. The moment I realized that, I was like, fuck, man. Why did I give up on all my goals and all my dreams? Because I did do that at one point. And I did completely just, whenever she asked me to spend more time with her, I spent more time with her. And you know what? That was a vicious cycle. I spent more time with her, and she asked me to spend even more time with her. And that continued and continued and continued until I realized that what she wanted isn't more time, she wanted more attention from me. Because what I actually did in that time was, I was physically there, yes, but mentally I was thinking about my work. I was secretly resenting her for not letting me work, all that stuff. So mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, I wasn't even there. I was somewhere else. I was trying to achieve my goals. I was trying to answer questions about me, like how I can achieve my goals, instead of actually being with her. Sure, like I said, there are moments where she actually genuinely needs you and where your goals don't fucking matter. But from my personal experience and from having mentored hundreds of men on their relationships, I can confidently say that that happens a couple times per year. Not per day, not per week, not per month, per year, where she actually needs you and where you should leave all your goals, all your dreams to the side for a couple hours or a couple days and simply be with her and help her and guide her and be that rock for her. But still, your small self will convince you that she always needs you because you want to feel needed intrinsically and because you think that if you say no to her, she will break up with you, she will leave you, she will find that attention somewhere else, which is all not true. Instead, your higher self, that version of you that is more living in states of consciousness like courage, like love, like reason, that part knows exactly that 99% of the time. These are challenges that she gives you to see that she cannot get you off your path and to essentially reinforce her trust in you and also help you become the person, the man who can actually achieve his goals, who can actually face the challenges of the world. Oh, and by the way, I recently made a video that's completely free. You don't even need to put in your email or anything. I just made a video basically explaining how I've helped my clients, like Yev, who I mentioned earlier, actually build the relationship that they wanted, right? That 3-pillar framework I use with all my clients. Made a free video on that. Like I said, you can watch it. Don't even put in your email, nothing. There's a link in the description. Just click that, go watch it. Enjoy. Now, for lesson number 3, we need to make sure that you don't make the same very common mistake every man makes once he gets this information. Because you see, what hurts your woman is not that you work a lot or that you spend little time with her. What hurts her is that, like I kind of mentioned earlier, when you do spend time with her, you're not actually there. You're distracted. You're caught in that do mode, in that mode of your mind where you're constantly just checking items off your to-do list. You're caught in that 24/7. You're not even mentally and emotionally present with her when you do spend time with her. And not only does that hurt your relationship, because of course your girl doesn't feel seen, she doesn't feel heard, she doesn't feel loved, she doesn't feel acknowledged, but it also hurts your goals. Because if you're constantly stuck in that do mode, you never actually take the time to zoom out. Instead of looking at the details and getting caught up in the nitty-gritty details, you never take the time, you never have the space, you never give yourself the space to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, which is where you actually find what you need to do to actually achieve your goals. I can say this because I've been on both ends of this spectrum. Now I'm at a point where I can focus both on my relationship and on my goals, and I can give enough energy to both. But when I was around 19 or 20, I had a period in my life where I was so, I don't know, obsessed with being productive that I honestly just worked for working's sake. I had my first business back then and I was so eager to get results, but at the same time, I was so, I don't know, driven by productivity that I just worked 80 to 85 hours a week. I mean that, 80 to 85 hours a week. And it was one of those things. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard. I'm not saying you shouldn't put in a lot of hours. That's not what I'm saying. But what happened for me back then was I worked so much that I had so little energy for my work that I didn't tackle the big important tasks. I only had energy left for the small tasks that didn't actually move the needle. So I didn't make any progress in my business. And what happened when I didn't make any progress is I worked even harder. I worked even more. I essentially had even less energy for the important tasks. I did even more stupid tasks and got even less results. And I was caught in that vicious cycle. Of course, now looking back at it, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? That was fucking stupid. But I didn't know better back then, right? Now here's the thing. Of course, I also didn't have any energy for my girl. And when we did spend time together, like once or twice a week, honestly, I simply wasn't there. I was still thinking about my goals. And all of this led to me having my first and hopefully last burnout at 20 years old. And I'm not talking burnout as in like I was a bit exhausted. I'm talking fried nervous system for 2 months. I'm talking emotional breakdowns 3 times a day. I'm not kidding. Like literally, I remember this. Back then, I did a lot of calisthenics and I also trained calisthenics, like my legs trained with calisthenics as well. So I did like pistol squats, and pistol squats are quite a heavy load on your leg, right? I started crying sometimes because of that pain. That's how fried my fucking nervous system was. That's how unsatisfied I was with myself. And eventually, simply had to take a break from all of this because this constant state of hopelessness and despair was killing me. Now, of course, to recover from all of this, I wanted to learn how I can do this better in the future and not fall back into this cycle. And what I realized very quickly is that if I spend less time on the more important tasks in my business, in my work, I not only achieved my goals in that business much quicker, but also I had time and energy left over for my girl. And when I did spend time with her, I had gotten enough done that day so that I could actually just turn my brain off and be with her fully. Another guy who has made massive progress with this is one of my clients named Tim, an entrepreneur from the US who came to me as a man going from failed relationship to failed relationship, and also his business was literally in debt. And now, not only is he making more money than ever, literally he has to hire new people to keep his operation going because there's so many people wanting to work with him, but also he is in a loving, thriving relationship and he's able to give his energy to both. So if you're ever in that situation where you simply spend time with your girl and you're like, fuck, I haven't gotten everything done. I'm not even being present here. I'm not even like really with her. And now she's complaining about it and whatever else. Think of what I just said. If you're in that situation, just think of what I just said. And the thing is, man, every man has this capacity to give his energy to both his woman and his goals. And actually, not only do we have that capacity, but once we do that, the time that we spend with our girl, where we turn our brain off, where we're fully there with her, mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, that is the exact recovery and the exact perspective we need to actually crush our goals. For lesson number 4, I'll make this quick because you might be in a situation where you think that you shouldn't be in a relationship while you're trying to achieve your goals because any meaningful pursuit, any meaningful goal that you're striving towards will face you with massive self-doubt. And that self-doubt will affect inevitably your ability to show up in a great way for your woman. So you might think, if I'm in that phase of building, I shouldn't actually be in a relationship because I might not be able to show up in the greatest way for her. That is actually a valid reason. I actually see that as a valid reason to not be in a relationship. Except for the fact that you will always continue building. Let's be honest, man. You are an ambitious guy. You won't just build a business or whatever once and then stop that. You're going to build one thing and then you're going to build the next thing and then you're going to do something else and then you're going to do something else. You're one of those people who probably doesn't think too highly of retirement, of not doing anything. Let's be honest here, right? I mean, you build a business, but then the next thing is you want to become a fucking Iron Man. Whatever, right? But you're going to have those phases and you're going to face that self-doubt inevitably over and over again. So you're going to have to learn that lesson eventually, how to be in a relationship and deal with the self-doubt that comes from those goals that you want to achieve. And I don't care how great you are. Everyone has to go through that phase. If you want to be in a relationship and also achieve goals, everyone has to go through that phase. And now let me ask you this. Do you want to go through that phase now, when you're still younger and you have less responsibilities and you have less things to take care of. This fucking armrest, man. It's always slipping down. It's annoying as hell. But do you want to do this now? Or do you don't want to do this in 10, 20, 30 years when you're much older, you have much more responsibility, maybe you have children, you have whatever it might be, right? You just have way more things to take care of. When do you want to learn this lesson? When do you actually want to become the man who can show up in a great way for his woman, even though he's doubting himself and all his goals in this current moment? Man, you have to make that decision. Because if you want to be in a long-term, thriving relationship, you have to learn how to deal with doubting yourself sometimes. That's just going to happen. That's life. And not just that, but of course, if you have a great woman by your side, I say of course, but this is not as obvious as you might think for most men, for me when I was younger as well. If you have a great woman by your side, she will actually help you through those phases. I know that sounds so obvious, but most men never realize that. Most men think, oh, I need to be perfect for my woman. I need to always show up for her in the right way. Well, man, sometimes you need her. And I know that's scary to admit as men because we want to feel needed. We don't want to feel like we need someone else, right? We want to feel capable. But man, sometimes you need her. The amount of times my girl has helped me in phases where I was doubting myself, like questioning everything, like almost hating myself in a way for honestly just not achieving what I wanted to achieve. The amount of times she helped me through that and she helped me find my self-trust again and build me back up or help me build myself back up is mind-boggling. And that's why I say this is one of the reasons I wouldn't be here without her. There's no way. Man, the moment you understand that you will simply not always be perfect for your woman, that there will be phases where you can't be perfect for her, and that a good woman won't hate you for that or leave you because of it, that's the moment you free yourself from this resistance of building the relationship you want and you actually deserve. Because man, a good woman will actually feel honored to help you. She will feel honored to step into that role of showing up for you in the best way. She will be like, okay, now I'm gonna do for him what he usually does for me. And I know that's difficult as a man. You want to feel needed. You don't want to feel like someone who needs someone else. You want to be the one who helps. You don't want to be the helped one. But man, sometimes you need to be. Sometimes you need to lay that pride aside. Is that how you say it? I'm German, by the way. Sometimes my English isn't perfect, but yeah. Sometimes you need to put that pride aside and simply understand. I'm gonna be honest with her. I'm not doing well right now. I'm not gonna be able to show up in the best way for her. I need to solve these problems, and I need her support. And I'm gonna ask for her support, bro. Even in the most read success book probably of all time, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, even in there he says that basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Napoleon Hill around 100 years ago, he went around the world to kind of interview the 500 most influential, most successful people. Back then, of course, a lot of men, right? And one of the things he found very, very commonly was every great man who built massive levels of success, whatever that means, right? Who achieved outrageous goals, essentially. Every one of these men had a great woman by their side. And he also realized that whenever these men who got to the top fell off, there was a direct correlation between when they fell off and between when they got rid of the woman who helped them get there and kind of replaced her with a younger woman or more women or something like that. Now, for lesson number 5, this is by far the most valuable lesson in this whole video, because I always keep the most valuable lessons for guys like you who watch these videos fully, who actually take the time out of their day to learn about this stuff, to take notes, to apply this to their relationship, to their life, because I think that that's a very honorable pursuit. So, for lesson number 5, I need to tell you a short story for you to really understand this, for this to stick with you, not just for the next 10 minutes, but for the next decades. Because stories have power, right? So, when I got out of school, I started my first business at 18, basically. And for years, I mean this, for years, my goal was to make 3K a month to live a normal life in Germany, my home country, to just live close to my hometown, and just live like a normal life while being able to work for myself instead of having to work for someone else, because I didn't want to work for someone else, right? And I never achieved that. It sounds ridiculous because it's not that big of a goal. But I never achieved that. For years, I didn't achieve that. I tried to achieve this goal for like 4, almost 5 years, working my fucking ass off. And I never actually got there. And then this funny thing happened where I found a mentor who I paid a bunch of money at the time for him to help me. And he said one of those things to me that stuck with me ever since. He basically made me realize that the reason I never achieved this goal was because I was aiming too low. I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain this. This will be a whole revelation for you. I was aiming too low. He basically made me realize, like he told me, like, Benny, you don't even want to achieve that goal. You don't care about that life in Germany. You don't want to live close to your hometown, nasty weather. Like, you don't, just unambitious people, or you don't want to do that, right? You want to live a better life than that. And I was like, oh, man, honestly, you're right. But I always thought that I shouldn't give myself permission to dream bigger. And he gave me that permission to aim higher. And I set a goal that was, for me at the time, outrageous. I was basically broke at that time, right? And I set the goal to make 20K in a month in the next 7 months, from 0 to 20K. And to then use that money to move to a different country with my girl, to surf every day, to meet ambitious people, to have great weather every day. I mean, almost every day. Today it's not that nice, but you get the point, right? And I'm here now. I fucking achieved that. And I achieved it within those 7 months as well. And I'm getting emotional when I talk about this. Because, holy shit, man, that one piece of advice that he gave me there, that one revelation he gave me, has changed my whole entire life. And of course, I still did the work, right? He wouldn't take any credit for this. I would give him a lot of credit because without him, I wouldn't be here. Of course, I still had to do the work anyway. Let me dive deeper. Let me actually make you understand this lesson as well. Because, man, when you're in a relationship, you don't just have this sense of accountability or maybe even obligation, but you have this sense of wanting to do something for the greater good. Not just for yourself, but for the greater good of your life, for the people around you. You want to create the best life possible for her. Not because she couldn't do that herself, but because you simply want to do that. You simply feel driven to do that. That's how I felt as well. Man, during this time, during those 7 months, I visualized this life that I'm living now every single day. And this is, by the way, still the whole story that I'm telling, right? Like this, the lesson I haven't even mentioned yet. But I visualized this every single day. And the one scene that I saw many times, the one image that made me most driven and honestly made me cry tears of joy every single time when I saw it, was not me doing anything, but it was my girl with her surfboard running down to the beach. Like, man, this, I'm always getting emotional again. I am getting emotional again, 100% I am, because fuck, man, that did so much for me to just see that. And we can see countless examples of that. Look at the story of Odysseus, who after the Trojan Wars, right, he was the king of Ithaca, right? And after the Trojan Wars, he wanted to go back home, but he got lost with his whole crew, and they went through this, or he himself, everyone else died eventually, but he himself went through this grueling 10-year journey to get back home to Ithaca. He didn't do that for himself. He didn't necessarily do that to be king again, to have that power again. He did that for his wife, Penelope. That's why he did it. And we can use that for our drive. We can use the sense of being able to do something great here in a relationship for our woman. We can use that to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. We can use that to want to achieve this goal even more. Because that's the reason I didn't achieve the 3K goal. I didn't want to achieve that. But the 20K goal, fuck, man, I wanted to achieve that. It was all I thought about every single day. You can ask anyone in my life. There was nothing else in my mind for 7 months. I'm not even fucking kidding. Of course, we want to, over time, transcend that feeling of always wanting to feel needed, right? But while we're still in it, why not use it to actually achieve success, to actually reach the goals that we want to reach? One of my clients, for example, Dan, one of my first ever clients actually, he used the drive that his relationship and his girl, who is now actually his wife, that desk that she gave him, he used that to get a job in like the final round of hiring. Just that story is in itself fascinating. Final round of hiring, right? Like he made it through all the qualifications, everything. Final round of hiring. There's 20 people trying to get this job. 20 people. And Dan is the most underqualified of all of them. Yet he was driven to get this job. He did everything in his power to get this job, and he fucking got the job, man. And he got married in the same year. Holy shit, man. This guy, fucking crazy. And the lesson I want to leave you with here is something that I think it was Jim Carrey who I first heard this from. You can fail at something you don't want. Let me say that again. You can fail at something you don't want. Write that down right now. What I mean by that, and what Jim Carrey means by that, is this. If you're trying to achieve something that you don't even really want, not just can you fail at that, but you will most likely fail at that. Because why would you try to achieve something you don't want? Why would I try to actually do the work that is necessary to achieve that 3K goal I had when I didn't even want to achieve that goal? But the goal of the 20K and moving to a different country and building that life for me and my girl and doing that together with her, that fucking drove me. And yes, it's a much bigger goal, but it was so much easier for me to achieve it because I had the desire to achieve it, the drive to achieve it. If you want to build a life of success in whatever way with an awesome woman, then it's much easier to achieve that than to achieve some certain level of success without a woman by your side. Yes, people might tell you, oh, but that's more difficult to achieve because then you have to balance ambition and a relationship and whatever else. Yeah, sure. But you want to achieve that. That's why you're watching this very video, right? This is the exact, this popped into my mind just now. This is the perfect example. You're trying to achieve that, which is why you just took 20, 30 minutes out of your day to watch this very video. You wouldn't have done that if you didn't want to achieve it. You wouldn't watch a video on, how can I achieve success without a woman by my side? You wouldn't want to watch that video. You wouldn't want to put any effort into that because you don't even fucking care about it. It is so much more difficult to achieve a small goal that you don't even want to achieve than to achieve a massive goal that everyone might tell you is impossible, but you want to achieve it. That's the goal you will achieve. Because you fucking want to, because you will do the work, because you will make the sacrifices. Automatically. You don't even see them as sacrifices. You see them as stepping stones. And the crazy thing is, if you try to go for that smaller goal that you don't even want to achieve, and you do inevitably fail, that's gonna devastate you. You're gonna think, fuck man, I'm so horrible, I can't even achieve this small ass goal. I can't even achieve this small ass goal that is so fucking simple to achieve. Yeah, because you didn't want to. It's not your fault. You just set the wrong goal, man. And I know this because I've been at that exact point. For years I was like, why can't I even achieve this small fucking goal that everyone thinks I can achieve? All that I'm saying here is don't aim for a successful life without a woman by your side if that's not what you want. If you want a successful life with a woman by your side so that you can share the success, the freedom, the happiness with her, then aim for that. Because it's much easier to achieve that, even though it might be a more difficult, objectively seen, a more difficult thing. It will be much easier for you. And by the way, like I mentioned earlier, I recently put together this free video explaining the 3-step framework that I use to improve my relationship and build it to the point that it is at today, and also do that for hundreds of men in my mentorship. So if you want to watch that, it's free. You don't need to put in your email. It's not a fucking lead magnet. Just go watch the video. It's in the description. It's a link in the description. Just click it, go watch it, and enjoy. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.